Well, another full Premier League weekend awaits as Matchday 24 is here. We will be looking ahead to all 10 games, giving our predictions and our reasons why, and of course, looking ahead in detail to Luton Town versus Sheffield United, the game I'll be at on Saturday. So hopefully you're looking forward to all of that. As always, I'll encourage you to get your predictions for this weekend's Premier League action into. Get them down in the comments, and if you beat or match my score, you will get a shout out in the next recap when we return for Matchday 25 next weekend. But for now, before we worry about the rest of the action in Matchday 24, we are going to talk about the big game. A huge match at the bottom between Luton and Sheffield United. Two sides that have had very different weeks in the build-up to this fixture. And I'm going to be honest with you straight off the bat, this petrifies me. And on the off chance any Luton fans see it before the game, don't go to Kenilworth Road on Saturday assuming we're going to win. This would be very Luton. We've been there. We've had plenty of ups and downs in the last 20, 25 years. Go there and get behind it. Make it a noisy atmosphere because it's going to be a very difficult game despite what happened in the last weekend. Because Luton have had a brilliant week. A 4-4 draw at Newcastle in a true Premier League thriller. A wonderful performance going forward and caused all sorts of problems. That following up from a 4-0 win against Brighton. Luton Town are scoring goals galore. We did not expect that in the Premier League. And one of the things that surprised me, and I go back to our preview of the Newcastle game, I cannot believe Dan Burn started at left back. I said, and I think I'm pretty much quoting it here, that Eddie Howe was smart enough to bring Livramento in against Ogbene, and he didn't. And in the end, it gave Luton the opportunity to get the result. Some brilliant performances, and of course, we are always going to be at risk of conceding on the counter, especially now where we're gambling one-on-one and trying to be a front-footed team. But my God, there's spirit in this football club. And as I've said many a time this season, the best thing you can ask for as a fan is your team being a joy to watch and giving everything for you. And we are both of those things. So very happy with that week. And to be fair, home comforts are going to be important. We face more of the bottom half teams at home than anyone else for the rest of this season. 6 games at home remaining against sides in the bottom 10. And that's going to be pretty decisive for us. But Sheffield United come into this off a hammering from Aston Villa. They were 3 down with fans leaving less than a quarter of the way into the game. And Chris Wilder, for whatever has happened before and after, and whether or not you believe he's a Premier League manager, and for whatever's going on with the sandwiches, he will get a reaction. There is no doubt about that. And if Sheffield United are going to put in one more brilliant performance this year, it will probably be this one. Let's be honest about it. So I'm not confident going into this game. I'm absolutely petrified for obvious reasons. But Luton, of course, have got the ability to win it. And in form, you would suggest that they're comfortable favourites. But that's not how football works. And Luton Sheffield United games have always been very tight in recent seasons at whatever level they've been played. Of course, the reverse fixture on Boxing Day was one of the most bizarre in modern football in the Premier League because Luton went from 2-1 down to 3-2 up without registering a shot. But causing havoc on the penalty area and hitting on the break was certainly a big part of the action. And with Ross Barkley again standing out in midfield alongside Lokonga, who's been brilliant, Morris and Adebayo finding a way to play together in a front three, and Ogbene and Doughty flying down their respective wings. We've definitely got the ingredients to hurt Sheffield United in the areas they're weakest, because we saw with Sheffield United against Villa, they were really struggling to deal with those wide men cutting in. We saw that Ogbene did it to great effect in both of the last 2 games. We know Doughty can put crosses in, and Morris will be cutting in as well to join Adebayo in the box. So I really feel that Luton going forward are going to have a threat. But Sheffield United, if you take away the Villa game, have actually had a pretty big attacking threat themselves in recent weeks. Away at Palace, even against Brighton in the Cup, but also against West Ham as well. Ben Brereton Diaz has come in and offered a real goal threat. They do ship goals for fun, and we're going to have to try and take advantage of that. But the way they counter at speed, I would expect them to be a threat to us too. And overall, it's going to be a case of, can we take advantage of set pieces? Can we be a real big threat from crosses into the box? Because that's where those deflections came for the own goals. Can we make certain people lose their heads? Because if you remember in the last game, it was Jack Robinson who lost his head and kind of allowed Luton back into it. Ended up being an own goal for him as well. But the one thing we know with both of these sides is they're going to concede goals. And in recent weeks, bar the last game for Sheffield United, both of them can score too. I think this is going to be a really entertaining game, but I don't think it's going to be the comfortable win that many people are starting to predict for Luton now. Who would have thought in this Premier League season we would have a single game that we go into as comfortable favourites? And that is the thing that leaves me and probably a lot of Luton fans on edge. We know Rob Edwards will guard against it. We know a lot of the players will guard against it, especially with that experience in the squad now. But I can't lie to you. I'm very worried. I think this will be a tight game. I've probably got to go with a Luton win on the preview because, let's be honest, we are the informed team of the two and we have been playing a better football recently. But I still think this is going to be neck and neck. It wouldn't shock me if it was a draw, but I'm going to go with a form book. I'd be upset for any other game if I didn't. I'm going to go for Luton to nick it by 3-2. But I'm sure, like many fans, I am petrified ahead of this one. With that out the way, though, let's move on to the rest of Matchday 24. And to go and look ahead to that, we've got to have a look back at last weekend and see how we got on. Because among many games, Luton versus Newcastle and the Sheffield United Villa one were two scorelines that were pretty impossible to predict. We also saw one at Wolves. Brighton scoring 4 against Palace was probably a surprise in a game that always ends 1-1. And of course, I was cost a perfect score by that late Jarrad Branthwaite equaliser, which didn't do Luton any favours either. What it does mean is that overall this match day, it was a very low scoring week. I picked up 6 points with that perfect score saving me at the end, despite Flecken's best efforts in the first half, and 3 other correct outcomes for the wins for United, for Villa, and a draw between Burnley and Fulham, just about. So 6 points for me. Only one of you managed to beat me this weekend. 2 of you got the same score as well. Ed and Sam got 6 points. Dedicated got 6. So well done to both of you. Level with me. The W&G fan, courtesy of 2 perfect scores, you get 3 correct outcomes out of 10 and you won the match day. That is some effort. 7 points for you. A brilliant effort in a very hard week to score. And now we move on to match day 24. And I'm going to gamble on goals galore again, certainly on a Saturday. I've gone for Manchester City to beat Everton by 4-0. De Bruyne and Haaland both back starting on Monday night. They weren't at their best, but on another day, City could have scored 6 or 7. They were trying to shoot from distance a lot more, which was interesting as well. But I think Everton away from home, it was a big effort against Spurs. And on the road, they've struggled a little bit to deal with City. And Sean Dyche teams generally struggle at the Etihad. So I'm going 4-0 for the hosts. At 3 o'clock, I've gone for Fulham to lose 2-1 at home to Bournemouth. I know it was the late red card for Bournemouth and in the end a point against Forest, which, I mean, the fact that they're probably disappointed with that gives you context as to how well they're doing. Fulham have been draws galore recently. 3 of their last 4 games, including the second leg of the Carabao Cup. But they've not actually won in their last 6, and Bournemouth have got more of a goal threat. So I'm going for them to win by 2-1. Liverpool v Burnley, I've gone for 3-1 to the host. Burnley did really well to fight back against Fulham, and Datro Fofana looking like the striker that maybe Chelsea needed, which is quite ironic, but doesn't change their defensive frailties. I know Liverpool lost to Arsenal, but they were brilliant prior to that, and they always score goals galore at home. So I'm going for 3-1. You know I've gone for Luton to beat Sheffield United 3-2. I'm not confident, but I have to go with it on the form book. Tottenham Brighton got the hallmarks of a thriller as well. Spurs were excellent going forward against Everton. Richarlison's in the form of his life. I know we probably won't see Son back, but a few of the others are returning now. So I think because of that, the fact that defenders are starting to get up to speed, James Maddison's almost match fit now. I just think it's got the potential to be a cricket score, a basketball match from end to end. It's probably my most likely game to be Newcastle v Luton this week. So I'm going for 4-2 to Tottenham Hotspur. Then we get to the slightly lower scoring second half. The final 3 p.m, I've gone for Wolves to pit Brentford 2-1. Brentford just looks so susceptible defensively. Flecken doesn't have many great games. He did on Monday night, but it still wasn't enough. And while they have played a lot of top opposition, they obviously lost to Wolves in the Cup replay. They're conceding goals galore. I think the first tie against Wolves is the only one in their last 6. They haven't conceded multiple goals. So they're going to be relying on the counter-attacking threat of Tony and Maupay. And Wolves, what a brilliant performance at Chelsea. Gary O'Neill doing a wonderful job. And they've been involved in some thrillers recently as well. But I'm going calmer this time. Wolves by 2-1. I've also, in the 5:30 game, gone for a draw. 1-1. I have to throw one in every match day. Newcastle not quite to be involved in the thriller this time. And away from home, generally their games are lower scoring. They have looked a bit better on the road recently, particularly in the Cup v Fulham and Sunderland, and in that league game against Villa, which they were brilliant in prior to the weekend. Whereas Forest, a decent point, an important one to go above Luton away from home at Bournemouth, but in a circumstances may have felt they could have nicked it. They've not won in their last 4 matches, including the cup tie against Bristol City. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw there because Forest at home are better, Newcastle on the road worse. I'm going to go for them to cancel each other out. It'll be interesting to see if Chris Wood is inspired enough again to turn into our 9 for the day though, won't it? If we move on to Sunday, we've got West Ham versus Arsenal. I've got a gut feeling on this one. We know that Kudus is back and he's going to be a threat. We know they struggled away at United, but generally, West Ham at home are pretty solid defensively, and Arsenal have had their troubles there before. They've actually started to find a net again following the winter break. 3 good wins with 10 goals scored. I've got a hunch on this one. There's no logic behind it. I just fancy West Ham to have one of those famous home 1-0s. Jarrod Bowen or Kudus with a bit of magic, but 1-0 West Ham for me. Aston Villa v United. I'm going to go back to the home form book for Villa. It's another one of those stages where people are asking, have United turned the corner? Which they did after the last game against Villa, when they turned it round from half-time. Villa will want revenge. They were in a great position against Sheffield United. They were able to take their foot off the gas in the second half. And defensively, they've kept 4 clean sheets in their last 5 matches in all competitions. I'm not sure they're going to do so now because Højlund is finding form, Rashford is improving, Fernandes is finding space. And to be fair, Garnacho, Mainu, the likes, they are definitely looking a better team. But we've seen in recent games, bar West Ham, they are still susceptible at the back against Spurs, against Wolves, against Newport. They've still not got a settled back 4 because of injuries and different players coming in and out. So I'm going to go for Villa to pip it by 2-1. And then the final game on Monday night, Palace-Chelsea. I'm sticking my neck on the line. Elise's out again by the looks of it. Chelsea have been diabolical at the back in recent weeks. I think they're going to set up a bit more solid in this game. I think they're going to try and keep things quiet. The last Palace-Chelsea game, Chelsea nicked it with a late pen. Here, I'm going for stalemate. I'm going for 0-0 to finish off on Monday night and an awful game to finish the match day. But those are just my predictions for match day 24. Do you agree or disagree with them? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, give me your predictions for this weekend's action. As I mentioned earlier, if you beat or match my score, you will get a shout out in the next recap. That will be live this time next week as we look ahead to the Super Sunday clash between Luton and Manchester United. But don't worry, the week isn't over yet. We've got a full weekend of championship predictions coming tomorrow. You can get involved with those as well. The League One shorts coming on Friday. There's clips for plenty of other stuff as well in the last week or so. So make sure you come and check all that out. If you want to stay up to date with it, chuck a thumbs up on the video, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. And I'll see you back here again very soon, as tomorrow is championship prediction time. I hope you're looking forward to that one and a big game at Kenilworth Road at the weekend.